Welcome, foolish mortals, to another episode of the HitchHiking Hosts Show 101. I am your host, your ghost host, West Truth, and I'm back once again to give you the history and the lowdown on a Disney Parks ride, attraction, or whatever. We are barreling through Fantasyland of 1955's Disneyland, and we're hitting up the rides right now. So this is an attraction that's still around today in almost every Disney park. It's very popular. It's one of the most popular rides at a Disney park right now. Well, maybe not right now at 1:30 in the morning when I'm recording this, but it's popular when the parks are open. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about Peter Pan's Flight. The most popular rides in Fantasyland in any of the Disney parks is Peter Pan's Flight. Much like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and Snow White's Scary Adventures, the ride was set to be a dark ride. Imagineers wanted Peter Pan's Flight to be different, however, and not be confined to a single track and be in tight, closed places. They soon decided to have the ride vehicles fly to make guests feel as if they were flying alongside the characters. Imagineers such as Herb Ryman, Bob Matty, Claude Coates, Marvin Davis, and Ken Anderson worked on the attraction. Peter Pan's Flight was given a tight deadline to have it open for Disneyland's opening day, and some of the original ideas and scenes for the attraction had to be cut. In October 1954, the Imagineers tested and perfected the ride vehicles out in the special effects building at the Disney Studio. Just 4 months before the park opened, Anderson and Coates were hard at work putting in the designs for models and sketches, and even came up with things off the top of their heads. There were 9 miniature pirate ship ride vehicles and an extra in case of a malfunction with a specific ship ready for the opening. To fit in with the rest of Fantasyland attractions, its exterior had a medieval design. There was also a mural of the characters at the boarding area, like the other rides in the land. The original version of the ride saw guests flying through the Darling family nursery, where you'd see the children's beds, their toys, and Nana's wooden blocks on the right, and portraits of the family, Peter Pan, and Neverland Island on the left. You then saw Peter Pan's shadow on the wall as you flew out the window and passed an animated figure of Tinkerbell. After that, the ships went out over London, seeing sights such as Big Ben, and passed Tinkerbell again as she moved in a continuous circle. You then flew over Neverland before entering the final scene, Skull Rock. Until 1960, you entered through the skull's left eye socket. After that year, you sailed past the face of the skull and into the grotto ahead. Here you would see Captain Hook trying to work his plot against Peter Pan with Mr. Smee's assistance. Their captive, Princess Tiger Lily, was there too. Hook stood on a boulder as he yelled at the flying ships. Ah! He was heard calling out to Mr. Smee, "Shoot them down, Smee! Shoot them down!" Much like, "Fire, Mr. Smee!" as he yells today. And yeah, we all know and love that. Smee stood in a rowboat and tried to aim and fire a huge blunderbuss at the ships. Each time he fired, there was a strobe flash in the barrel of the gun, and matching noise felt under the ships. At the ride's final turn, you would pass by the crocodile, who was positioned on another stone outcrop as if waiting for Hook to slip off and fall. The ships then flew back into the unload area. Peter Pan's flight was fully up and operational by Disneyland's July 17, 1955 opening day and was an instant classic. It was so popular, it had to be a part of the Walt Disney World project. The original version of the attraction was supposed to give guests the impression that they were Peter Pan flying around, but most didn't grasp the concept and wondered why Peter wasn't in the ride. The Walt Disney World version took the overall format and theme of the Disneyland ride, but also made some changes as well. This version would include more impressive audio animatronics and new characters including the Lost Boys, Indians, and pirates. Hook's 48-foot pirate ship is included as well, complete with deck, masts, sails, and rigging. Riders see Hook and Peter engaged in hand-to-hand combat on the mainsail while the boys are lashed to the mast and Wendy is about to walk the plank. Then guests see Peter and the Darlings posed victoriously, ta-da, on the ship, poised to sail into the sky back to London. Also, Captain Hook was now put right at the crocodile's open mouth. Help me, Smee! Help me! Also look for the popular Raggedy Ann and Andy toys in the nursery. The load and unload area features Omnimover, an Omnimover, thank you, to allow for smoother traffic than Disneyland. The Walt Disney World version also debuted on opening day of the Magic Kingdom in Fantasyland on October 1st, 1971, proving to be just as successful as the California version. Peter Pan's flight would also have a place at Tokyo Disneyland's Fantasyland. It would be made almost exact to the Walt Disney World version. It debuted on the park's opening day, April 15, 1983. Over back at Disneyland, Fantasyland was going through a massive overhaul. The land now resembled a rustic European village in the Alps, rather than a medieval fair. Peter Pan's flight continued to feature a colorful mural which depicted the characters from the film in the loading area. During the renovation, the original pirate ship restaurant and Skull Rock were closed permanently and removed. The riggings, lanterns, and other props from the restaurant were added to the updated version of the attraction. An audio animatronic Peter Pan was also added to the ride, much like the Magic Kingdom's version. Many ideas from the Magic Kingdom were brought in, including the pirate ship deck where Peter and Hook duel on the tip of the ship's bowsprit. At the Magic Kingdom, Peter and Hook duel on the ship's mainsail. This new version saw the ship leave the load area and wind through the Darlings' nursery, passing Nana next to some toy blocks which spelled Disney when read backwards. Wendy, Michael, and John Darling were on the bed, and Peter Pan's shadow is on the wall. Guests hear Peter Pan saying, "Come on, everybody, here we go!" At this, if you ever redo Peter Pan, I got the part. At this point, the ship flies out the nursery window and over moonlit London, while lights twinkle all around. Below, guests see miniature versions of some of London's famous landmarks. Then going past the quote-unquote second star to the right and straight on till morning, the flying ships reach Neverland, where guests pass highlights including the Indian Village, a glowing volcano, Mermaid Lagoon, and Skull Rock. It is here that riders come face to face with Princess Tiger Lily, Mr. Smee, the Crocodile, and of course Captain Hook, Peter, and the Darlings. The new Disneyland ride opened as part of New Fantasyland on May 25, 1983. Peter Pan's flight was also built for the upcoming Disneyland Paris, then called Euro Disney Park. It was almost identical to the updated Disneyland version, except it lasted 3 minutes in length instead of 2.5 minutes. Yeah, no joke, alright. This version debuted on the park's opening day as well, April 12, 1992. Back at Walt Disney World, the ride received an update in 2014. It was upgraded to include an indoor queue wherein the old washrooms were removed. The new queue starts by entering into a corridor with interactive murals. It then leads you into the Darlings family residence with a special emphasis on the nursery. This new queue has extremely high attention to detail. And finally, back at Disneyland, the attraction closed for refurbishment on February 2nd, 2015. It was originally scheduled to reopen on May 25th, 2015, but was later pushed back to July 1st, 2015. New animatronics of Wendy, John, and Michael now fly above John's bed in the nursery. Previously, they were sitting on the bed and Wendy was sitting on a chair next to them. New special effects were added to the London and Neverland scenes as well. One more version of Peter Pan's flight is set to open on June 16, 2016 at the upcoming Shanghai Disneyland Park. While it only lasts about 2.5 minutes and always boasts long lines, Peter Pan's flight is an old favorite and a ride not to be missed. And I make sure I ride Peter Pan's flight all the time when it's open and not a 90-minute wait because, yeah, that is cray-cray. With Walt Disney World, I've been on that ride every time I've gone. It's a must, even though it's I always make sure I get on Peter Pan's flight. It's a classic ride. Just make sure you either ride it really, really early or you have a fast pass. I did the Magic Band and I walked right on my last trip, or very late at night. I was even looking at it at night and I think it was a half an hour wait, and I was like, nah, that's all right. This is an attraction that really, really gets long lines. I think it's because it's one that all families can ride and you fly through the air. And Peter Pan is very popular with pretty much everybody, so I could see why. I don't understand why this doesn't have a fast pass at Disneyland, because I've never seen it under 25-minute wait. I think it was a 25-minute wait. I've ridden this at Disneyland once, and it was a 25-minute wait, so I quickly ran in line. But the line does move pretty fast. I would say I like the Disneyland version more than the Walt Disney World version, but I'm sure many others will agree and disagree with that. I don't know. It was just something about the Disneyland version I liked a little more, whether it be the order of the scenes or whatnot. But they are very similar. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Disneyland. I was there when it was down for refurbishment this past year in 2015. So I haven't seen the new additions yet, the new Wendy, John, and Michael at the Disneyland version, but I've seen them online, obviously. I've reported it on the show, so I've sort of seen it, but not in person, we can say. and I've seen the nursery. I've seen pictures of the nursery at the Walt Disney World version because they were working on that as well when I was there last time for that queue. I've seen video and pictures, and that looks really cool. So I'm glad that they're putting more stuff into Peter Pan's Flight because it is a classic ride and it still definitely creates the crowds. So if you've never been to a Disney park, and you're sort of like, I don't know. I heard that you have to wait a while. Just make sure you get there first thing. Like at Disneyland, I literally ran there from the castle, and it was still like a 45-minute wait when I got there. It's like, oh my god! It's like people tend to run there right away. So make sure you might want to just keep. With Disneyland, you might just want to keep an eye, or you might have an app. If you see it anywhere 20-25 minutes, get in line, because I don't think you're going to get much less than that for Peter Pan's Flight. Same with Walt Disney World, if you don't have a fast pass booked for it. I can't wait to see what Shanghai's version looks like, whether it's going to be somewhat different or much like the other versions of this attraction, if it's like Disneyland, if it's like Walt Disney World. So it should be exciting to see what's in the future for Peter Pan's Flight. All right, well, that's the show. I'll be back soon with another episode focusing on Disneyland's Fantasyland. And it might have to do with a horse and going around. I'll give you that little hint. That's for next time. Until then, come back next week when I have a new HitchHiking Host Show up, where we're going to talk about all about what went down in the Disney parks this past week. Until then, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/HitchHostShow. You can like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/HitchHostShow. Follow on the Twitter and the Instagram at HitchHostShow. And if you want to listen to the show, or you are listening to the show, continue to do so at Podbean. It's hitchhostshow.podbean.com, and you can download on iTunes and Stitcher. Just search under The HitchHiking Host Show or West Troop. Until next time, don't forget to
hurry back
for the next
Be sure
episode.
to bring
See
your
ya.
death